Welcome to Cher's demonstration of easy nutritional cooking with Barbara Sibley of La Palapa, Cocina, Mexicana. I'm Stephanie Blaufarb. I'm Cher's Ovarian Cancer Program Director. And so remember, during this Facebook Live broadcast, you're welcome to submit questions for Barbara Sibley in the comments section, and we'll get to those at the end of the demonstration. So we're really glad to have Barbara Sibley here today. She was raised in Mexico City and has been an expert in traditional, rare Mexican recipes for many years. She started La Palapa Cocina Mexicana in NYC in 2000, and she's been a longtime supporter of Cher. She's been a chef at our chef's event, at our Second Helping of Life annual benefit for many, many years. So we were inspired to do this demonstration today by our webinar, recent webinar that we did with God's Love We Deliver, Everybody Counts, Nutritional Tips for Women with Breast and Ovarian Cancer. And during that presentation, we learned that there's no silver bullet cure-all ingredient. However, by incorporating healthy foods into our diet, we can support a healthy immune system. So we're trying to put those principles to practice today. And we have our outreach manager, Dominique Bethea, to help us out.
Hello everybody, welcome. Hi Dominique, this is going to be so much fun. So I just want to say that Cher is an organization that I'm so proud to support. The work you guys do is so inspiring that every year when I go to the Second Helping of Life, it's really the highlight. And one of the highlights is that I get to cook with amazing women, and so I'm so glad that you're here with me today at La Palapa. So I grew up in Mexico City, and I always say, like, really the food at La Palapa is what I'm homesick for. So I'm a little selfish that way, but it's really what I'm passionate about. But one of the things I'm also passionate about is that Mexican cuisine is really healthy. And we don't always know that. We don't always think of it that way. But really the traditional cuisine is really healthy. And today we're going to take something that's already incredibly healthy, and we're going to layer it with more taste, more flavors, and more things. Because I know it's almost Thanksgiving and everybody's like, why aren't you doing something pumpkin, right? But I think everybody's had enough of the Thanksgiving recipes. We're ready to just get something that you can take to any party. So it's great. Take it to Thanksgiving. It's a great appetizer. We all need a little something to eat while the turkey's cooking. And then for going into the holiday season, it's really great. So what we're going to make today is guacamole, which everybody loves guacamole. We're going to go a little beyond that avocado toast. Now, everybody says avocado toast is new. I grew up, that's what you just had. You had bread with avocado. But anyway, so what we're going to do today, so we have avocados. I really do love the avocados from Mexico. They usually have a little tag which tells you where they're from. Okay. They're just a lot more consistent because they're close by. They aren't shipped for weeks, for one thing. That's one of the main reasons why they're so much better. They have great. So the word avocado comes from the Nahuatl word aguacatl, which is really was a fertility symbol for the Aztecs. So they knew they had a superfood. Okay, yeah. And now we're going to add to it. So I already have some avocado here, mashed here, and what we're going to do is we have a lot of other flavors, and you have to. I'm going to just sort of build it out for you, so you think about, okay, we have this avocado. We know if we look at the nutrition of the avocado, how good it is. We already know how delicious it is, right? No, we don't have to convince anybody right there, right? Okay. So I'm going to add a few things to this guacamole, and I'm just going to go through a little bit all the different things that we're adding. So I'm going to add some jicama. Jicama is a root. It sort of tastes like an apple, between an apple and a radish, and it has tons of vitamin C in it. So there's more vitamin C in a jicama than there is in an orange. Okay, so you're talking about you have this amazing guac. So we're going to add just a spoonful or two of jicama. Now at the restaurant it's fun because I can just have all these things here all the time. But it's really not hard to do, and it makes a really fun party actually, even like a guacamole making party. This is mango. So mango, right? So all of a sudden we're adding all of these vitamin A's and things like that. A little tomato. Now some of these things aren't maybe as quite as traditional. Like at home growing up, it was just avocado, cilantro, onion, lime juice, salt, and done. But it just is great. So these are husk cherries. It's actually related to the tomatillo.
And what is the flavor?
They're really you want to taste them?
Yes,
so they're it's a little bit of a sweet, salt, bitter tomato.
Oh yeah, but
right?
it's really good.
But it's sort of sweet and fruity. So anyway, again, lots of vitamin C, lots of vitamin A there, and then we'll just get like a good. I'm just doing this. Like,
Okay.
we're at home. You're in my house. You're in my house. We're just doing this now. Onion. I'm very particular about onion, and I know that people, especially if you're not feeling quite well, sometimes people are feeling like, ooh, onion. I use sweet onion always because in Mexico onions are really mild, so you can smell like we're here with this
it's
raw
not strong
onion.
at all.
We're not crying.
No.
Nothing. We're good. So a little bit of sweet onion. And that's, to taste. But I do use sweet onion because it's just better. Now, I like things a little spicy. Do you like spicy?
I love spicy.
Okay, so these are serranos or jalapenos. Every chili is different. The only way you're going to know if you have a spicy chili is to taste a tiny bit. Now, I say this because even though a lot of people know it, but what makes a chili spicy is the oil. So if you get it on your hands, in your eyes, or it's too spicy in your mouth, the only thing that's going to take it off the chili is milk or dairy, which is why
people get a glass of milk when something is too spicy.
Right, so it washes it away. So it's really fun because, sometimes I teach kids and they love to see who can eat the spiciest thing. And then I go through like all the milk in the restaurant. It's pretty funny. So do you want to squeeze the lime just while I get the salt?
This, it actually reminds me of webinar, the God's Love You Deliver webinar, because they say that you should eat a lot of color in your food, and this has every color. Is that enough?
Perfect. So then now we'll stir that up. Now as we're stirring this up, do you want to stir it up? I'm going to talk a little bit about nuts, and I know that you were very interested in how to toast nuts, because we're going to add 2 nuts, different nuts to this guacamole. We're going to add pistachios, and I chose pistachios because they're a nut that is actually low in calorie content relative to nutrition.
Okay.
I mean, obviously almonds, any nut is delicious.
Yes.
I just also agree in green, it kind of goes. And then the other nut that we have are pumpkin seeds. Now these nuts are very, you use nuts a lot in Mexican cuisine. I don't know if you know, like moles, you can do chili sauces that are based with nuts.
Okay.
And so that's a really thing. So this is already on. And I use just like a dry pan. So imagine if this was just a dry frying pan. It's the same thing. No oil needed at all because they have their own oil. So the main thing is that you're going to be smelling it. See the way they smell already? Do you smell that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Am I out of the camera? I was like trying to give her room, and I'm like, you don't see me anymore. So anyway, it just takes just the tiny bit because what you want to do is you want to cook and release some of the oils.
Okay.
And so this is something also very common in Mexican cuisine in general is to toast things. Like you toast and cook your spices a little bit when you're using dry spices. We're not using those today, but we can do a salsa together one day. We'll do that too. So I'm just going to pop these, and we're just going to put them right on top. And I'm just going to take them off. I'm sorry, I'm just use my spoon here. Sometimes I use a frying pan. This is good because we're going to be using this griddle later. So it's just easy. So I don't want to leave them on too long, which is why I'm being so careful getting them off. We're going to put a little pistachios. And then the other nut that we're going to do are pumpkin seeds. So these, I buy organic pumpkin seeds. I think that we all try to do organic as much as possible. And I find definitely things that have fats, right? And when I think of breast health, especially, I think about wanting to use things that have fats in them and to really do the good fats and try to have the good fats be organic when possible. So same thing. So these are going to maybe pop a little bit. They're very, I don't know if we can see that, they're very just sort of plain green. And they're going to, these are shelled. These are shelled. And once again, I get them from my organic suppliers or health food supplier. But we can get, the good thing about things online is that when I opened La Palapa, people were like, why did you take so long? I said, I couldn't get the ingredients. But now with online ordering, you can really get this anywhere. So, and I know that even when I go to the Midwest, they have avocados, they have chilies, they have limes, they have everything, right? So we're just going to toast those a little bit. Do you want to try? I just want you to smell. So this is really good. So same thing. So they puff up a little bit. Now sometimes I make the little bit, right? It's starting to see they sort of pop. They might even pop. They sort of puff up and get sort of rounded. Right now, when they're not toasted, they're really totally flat. See? Here.
So can you eat them? Like
you can eat them raw. Absolutely, delicious. Yeah. So sometimes they're great garnish for soups. Like you toast them like this and add a little salt, maybe a little chili powder. and sprinkle them on.
And they're good. They're delicious.
And here, when we talk avocado toast, I put pumpkin seeds on our avocado toast.
Oh, nice.
Because
Okay.
once again, it's just, you know, it's something that you want to add a little bit of extra. If you can add some extra nutrition, and it's delicious. I have to say, you know, my most important vitamin, though, I have to be really clear about this. My most important vitamin is the P vitamin for pleasure. Because if you don't have pleasure,
If you don't like it,
then you're not going to eat it. And you're not, it can be as nutritious as you like, but if it's not delicious,
we're not going to eat it.
we're not going to eat it. It's a waste. Okay, so then I'm just going to sprinkle these on top. And we're going to taste these. And then what we're going to make after this, we're going to make some little handmade tortillas. Very easy. I just want people to know that, you know, you can do authentic things at home. It doesn't have to be so, you know, you don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to feel like, oh, I just, you know, I just want to, yeah, it's difficult, it's hard. Because that's the other thing, too, is that it doesn't have to be hard. You know, it can just be delicious
I
and
feel
easy.
like, you know, the whole family can make this, kids can make this.
Listen, I love to do, I just gave a cooking class like this too. This is why I was inspired. It's so much fun to get everybody together, put all the flavors together, and then everyone can make their own little bowl of guac exactly the way they like it.
Yeah.
And definitely for the kids. You know, it's really fun. All right, do you want to taste it?
Yes. Get a good mix. Okay.
We have to. We're gonna have other things, but I think we have to taste one. We have to make sure. We're just checking, just for you at home, to make sure that it's okay. Did a good job.
Very good.
Okay.
Delicious.
We're gonna keep cooking.
We promise.
We might just stay here and eat, but instead we're gonna keep cooking. Let's make a little. We'll make a little bit of room. Here, let's move these guys.
Okay.
And I'll leave the guac here because we're gonna want that again. And we can put these on the other table if you want. Thank you. Here's another one. We're gonna make a little space because we're gonna make these little handmade tortillas.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, sure. Is it hard to hear? It's hard to know because we feel like we're, you know, we can hear each other. But great. So I'm gonna leave this here, but you know, we don't need the chili.
Okay.
No.
Should I leave the onions or?
No, they can go too. All right. So what we're gonna make, I'm gonna show you what they're going to look like. So these are little boat-shaped tortillas. So they can either be, so what's interesting about tortillas and masa and things like that, it's very much like pasta. You know how pasta, it doesn't matter, it's the shape, it's all the same dough, but it's the shape that changes the name. I call these chalupas, which is a little tiny boat from Xochimilco. A real chalupa is like a long thing.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
But they can also, if they're a little bigger, they're sopes.
Yes.
If they're a little really bigger, you know, like a shoe, it's called a huarache, which is like if it looks like a sandal, if it's really big. So it just changes, and then, or if it's stuffed, it's called a tlacoyo. And so it just has a lot of different names, and obviously we know what a tortilla is. The thing about tortillas, I will say, to make a thin tortilla is really difficult. For one thing, it has to be so hot for it to make that, to make that thin. And you'll see even in Mexico, even at home, you know, it's not usually the young little girls making tortillas, it's the grandmas. So, okay, so over here I have a bowl already with the dough. I'm gonna, you know, we can move these guys, and I'm gonna bring this up close. How's that? Can you see? I'm gonna tilt it so it's a little better for the camera. Can you see that? How's that? Okay. I think it's okay. Because we use our hands. So I'm using this, which is maseca. There are a few different brands of it. It's a dry corn dough. But Mexican corn is processed in a very special way that was discovered by the Mayas and the Aztecs. And actually a lot of food comes from Mexico. You don't think about it. I often say like, well, where does pizza come from? And people are like, it's Italian. But no, you know, anything with a tomato sauce came from the Americas. So anything with tomato is Mexican food. So potatoes come from the Andes, chocolate, vanilla, and of course corn. So this is very useful. I choose one. So they have one that has no preservatives, no chemicals at all. This is, it actually, now they have it, it has a little folic acid in it, but it's corn and calcium carbonate, so that has calcium in it. So actually what the Aztecs discovered is that if you process the corn with calcium carbonate, it made it soft and they were able to grind it, but it also releases the folic acid that's in the corn. When the Europeans first colonized the corn and took it back to Europe, and they thought, oh, that's this great staple, they all had pellagra. because they didn't realize that you can't just eat corn like you eat wheat. You have to actually process it a bit to unlock those amino acids and to unlock the vitamins. So that's, I have to say, the natives, peoples of the Americas were just incredibly good at discovering these nutritional, wonderful nutritional things. So we're going to talk about that. I think you have some warm water there. I'm going to add a tablespoon of salt to this. And it's the simplest dough you ever saw in your life. It's water. It's water and the corn and it takes quite a bit of water. Okay, that's good. And it really sucks it up. So I'm probably going to want more water. Yeah. And there's some there too. That's good. Great. And if you were to let it rest, it would get even drier because it really takes a lot. Do me a favor, there's more there. That's the warm water. So I usually use warm water. And there we go. That's good. You can always add a little of the flour to it. Very easy. Does it look easy? Yeah. Or does it look hard, right? Oh my gosh, it's really difficult. What do you think?
No KitchenAid mixer needed, no special.
Nothing. We're not even using a tortilla press. You know how people are all like, oh, you need a tortilla press, and you need 2 pieces of plastic, and you know, listen.
Yeah, that's how I've seen it.
Yeah, the plastic. Yeah, you can use the plastic if you're making 100 for a party. I'll take even a little more water. See, now it's starting to come together. You want to feel so that it doesn't stick to your hand. If it sticks to your hand, it's too wet. That's good. If it sticks to your fingers, it's too wet. But you want it to be just damp to the touch. And if you make it ahead of time, which you can, you just cover it with a wet towel or a piece of saran wrap so that it doesn't get dry. And then you just go ahead and you use it. So I'm going to let it sit there a minute. Well, I'm going to just turn this up. A little fire here. Now, so I have this griddle as a very thin metal griddle. So it's faster, but it doesn't. You don't have to use that. You can use it also a dry pan. You'll notice I'm not using Teflon. You can do it in a nonstick pan, but I don't really like to do that because why? It's just not as healthy, right? You don't want that plastic to get so hot. So I would say like a cast iron pan is better. Do you want to get messy with me?
Yes.
Okay. So you see the way it's like coming, it actually picks it off my hands because it's the right consistency. So basically you're going to make whatever shape, like maybe you want to make a long oval one. I'm going to make another round one. Okay. So you make it, you're going to make I have a friend who calls these hockey pucks. My friend Duff, she calls them hockey pucks. I said, we're going to make some hockey pucks. Okay, so you make like a little thing, if you can see, it's about between 1/4 of an inch and maybe like 1/4 of an inch thick. A little round thing. And we're going to put it on here. I'm going to just leave it there until it makes a skin. Okay. So it's going to make
that flat enough?
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Great. So I say, yeah, you could get 2 cutting boards. You can get a piece of plastic. Totally not necessary. The most important thing is not to move them. To not get impatient and feel like, I've got to check. I've got to check because we want it to make like a little skin.
Okay.
Now, you'll notice these are pinched out like little bowls. Mm-hmm. We do that after they cook. And one of the reasons you do that is very hard because it's just water. It's hard. Doesn't have eggs. Not like a pancake that has an egg that's going to cook. Yeah. It's really hard to get it cooked when it's thick. Okay. So that's why like a tortilla is very thin because then it cooks all the way through. Yeah. But this, we've sort of made it thinner. And then you can even, when you reheat these, you can brush them with a little bit of corn oil and then stick them in the oven and, they get a little bit of, but you don't have to. You can also just have them just like this. Now, growing up as a kid in Mexico, you would go to the big, the store that made tortillas. It's like a big mill, and they would sell you a ball of dough, and then you would take it home and you would make some little chalupas. Now, you see, if it's done, it's already, I can turn it over. It doesn't stick. Yours, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Very hot.
Very hot. I can see. I don't know how you did that.
Well, you sort of get like, you get used. You get. It's sort of like a technique where you know that how far my finger has to go. But you can use a spatula.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do it like
use
this.
The spatula.
And it's starting to smell. We smell it like really smells good. See, yours is like there. But that's
I
good.
got
It's
that
fine.
skin on mine. Yes.
So once again, you can tell by smell. Since this is it's so little. Let's put it down a little bit. See, I don't have much on it. There we go. So great. So we're making a little handmade tortilla. Really fresh, delicious. Once again, you're thinking about the party. You're thinking about what are you going to make for the party. We're going to make some of these. We're going to put some guacamole on them.
These are
We're
great.
going to warm them up.
They're small. They're not. You don't have to
Right.
carry a turkey to the Thanksgiving party. You can bring something cool
And
like
these,
this.
when you make these, for instance, if you want to make them and you want to have them as snacks, you can get them, make like a little roll, wrap it in saran wrap, and stick it in your fridge for like a week or two.
Oh, wow.
And it's fine. And then you can just reheat them.
Oh, great.
I've never frozen them, but I'm sure they would freeze fine.
He's good. Okay.
Yeah. So, and once again, it's just like something a little bit different, but easy, easy, easy. I always say people are like, oh, it's complicated. I was like, women have been cooking this food for thousands of years. This is home cooking.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it. It's all good. So let's see how this is. So, see? Oh, there you go.
Ah, yeah.
So, wait. So I'll probably do the first one. This part is hot. This part is takes a little doing. What I can do sometimes is that I have like here I have like a napkin or a towel, and you can use that to do it. You just want something. This one is a little minty, but what I would do is like I'm going to do it without it, but you can do it, and then what it is you pinch it like this.
Oh, and
Yeah, and it's weird. So you pinch it while it's hot.
to get that shape.
Yeah,
to
it's to mold it, and then you do a couple of pinches in the middle, and that holds your fillings on it.
Yes, I see that.
So if you want to do it, I don't want it to be too hot for you.
I'll try.
Are you ready? Okay. You're making a little pinch, so a little pinch pot, like just go like that. Yeah, is it too hot? How are you? You watch the steam. Once again, it's not something that has to have an exact. It's what you're making with your hand. It's going to have your touch, and that's good. It's all good because even if you didn't do them exactly, they would still be perfect and delicious and taste great.
They smell amazing.
Don't they smell good?
Yeah, they smell amazing.
It's the real corn, so it just smells wonderful. I'm going to heat these up. My fire's a little too hot here, right in the middle. It's okay.
Okay. That's the best I can do for
it's
a newbie.
Great. It's great. It's going to be delicious.
I got the shape going.
Yeah. Do you see?
Yeah.
Look how great. Isn't that great? How easy was
My
that?
first
Right?
one.
You're ready. You're ready. So we're going to eat them. We're going to put guacamole in them, and they're going to be delicious. We're going to wait a minute while these other ones warm up.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about drinks. How are we doing for time there?
Good. It's like 12:50 now.
Oh, great. All right. So we have about 10 minutes, which is perfect. We're going to make our little chalupas here. Actually, do you want to put that over there?
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit then about traditional Mexican healthy drinks. And then we're going to eat these. These are almost ready to go, but we'll have those right before. So one of the things that I've seen a lot in the market these days is chia.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody's talking about chia. So there's one thing that's very, very important about chia is that you have to soak chia.
I did not know
Which you
that.
did not know, right?
I just put it in my smoothie and I'm like, it's so crunchy.
It stays crunchy even if you soak it. But what it is that chia absorbs a lot of water. It's a seed, and one of the properties of the seed is that it makes sort of like a jelly.
Yes.
But if you don't let it make that jelly, it absorbs water in your stomach, and that can be very unhealthy. Okay, so what I did here is this is the same water, but this was one. Look, even actually. Wow. You've been here about half an hour, and look how different it is already.
Totally different.
It starts to, they kind of blow up.
It's like expanding.
And they break their shells, and you have chia that's just, you don't have to go and spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? You can order a pound of chia, and it's a lot. So this is 1 tablespoon of chia in about 3/4 of a cup of water.
So little goes a long way.
Goes a long way. So right here we can make a drink. So the other thing I'm going to soak the chia in 2 other things that are going to be really interesting. So this one we're going to make a lemon water, which is actually a completely traditional Mexican lemonade. Is you make agua de chia. So Mexico has this tradition of they're called aguas frescas, that are fresh waters. And so we have ginger, we have hibiscus or sorrel, Actually, in Mexico, hibiscus is called agua de Jamaica because why? Jamaica. Where does sorrel come from?
Jamaica.
It comes from the Caribbean.
Yes,
So
yes.
to me, I'm an anthropologist, so I'm always fascinated
That's cool.
how actually there's, you know, there's a
Together.
provenance. They're like, we didn't invent this. This is invented in the Caribbean. So we're going to put some agua de chia, and here I have ginger syrup. Now this is something that I'm going to try today for the first time, but I've heard it's incredible that the chia will actually, that just the way it absorbed the water, the chia is going to absorb the ginger
okay.
and the hibiscus. So we're going to go ahead and I'll just do it. It's just like a tablespoon. That's as much as I put in the other one.
Yeah.
It's the same. I'm just going to stir it. And then right now, you can see the difference. Right now, even if we stir it, it's going to sink to the bottom. And they're not going to really float. Whereas the ones that I did in water, and that's why I did the water first, it's completely suspended. Like you think like those bottles that you buy in the store, like, ooh, how'd they do that? Right? This is nature.
Yes.
It's just doing itself. And you can see each little seed has sort of like a gummy thing around it. We're going to taste that one. We're going to make a lemonade. A very simple lemonade.
Awesome.
So the same thing here. We're going to put a tablespoon in here. This is a little harder to see because I use this at La Palapa. It's a very concentrated hibiscus.
Okay.
And we just make it naturally. We get the flowers and make the tea.
Oh,
So
you make it. Okay.
right. So hibiscus is the flower. If people have red singer tea, it's the flower, the sorrel flower. That's what makes red singer tea red. So
See, it's a very deep.
Now, hibiscus is, so right now, so you have chia, which has all of the flavonoids and all that omega and everything that we're hearing about all the time, which is so amazing. Hibiscus also has a tremendous amount of vitamin C, and it's a diuretic. So it's very interesting to see. Now, we all know that the properties of ginger are very amazing, right?
Yes.
Because we know when people are in treatments and how ginger helps with nausea and helps out, you know, how cleansing it is. So once again, you have this amazing drink. So there's like ways to actually make it even better, so that when we're having whatever we can, you know, when people are not feeling well, and you're just like, whatever I can have, you need to maximize it.
Yes.
There you have
And
it.
they taste good.
And they taste good. Smell the ginger.
Oh, it smells amazing. It almost smells like ginger beer.
It's exactly,
That's what it
yeah. That's what we use here when we make a little Moscow Mule, but that's for a different one. But okay, so we're going to make a little. You want to hand over the agave, and we have a pitcher full of ice over there. But we're just going to sweeten this up. I use agave syrup. I have to say, I'm not as like people talk about which sweetener is better for you. I'm a person that really just believes in moderation. Right. So I think that it's great if you have agave, but if you use a little bit of sugar is going to be fine. Okay. The main thing is not to load up and not to have it in everything and not to have cookies and drinks and whatever. But in Mexico, really the aguas frescas are very lightly sweetened and have a lot of water. They're not that concentrated. We're so used to like sodas and all these things that have like super, super sweet and also just too rich, you know. So agua fresca is something that's light and things. We're going to put more lemon juice, so you can just put it right in here. We're going to just make it right in here.
This lime?
The lime, yeah. Let's put. So we're going to do. So in Mexico, lemons or limones or limes, and limas are yellow. So it's a bit the opposite, but we have more limes. But interestingly enough, just in terms of where they come from Europe. So as I just give credit that the tomatoes in your pizza are coming from Mexico, the limes in your guacamole and your salsas are coming from Europe. So I'm going to use, you know, it's a tiny
just
spoon.
A little bit, right?
Well, it's a tiny spoon, but it goes a long way. So it's probably a teaspoon and a half. Okay. I think that'll be enough. But let's do one. Here's the other. I think you have the other half of the lime over there. If we want to put a little more lime, we can do another one. And I like to just put lime slices right in there. Let's do that. Sure. Just give it a good squeeze.
Squeeze it up. Okay.
Great. Then we're going to be ready. See, our little chalupas are doing great.
I'm doing this right.
Oh, it's the other way. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter really. Okay. I mean, if it goes, I don't know if well, that's maybe a good thing to say. So people are like, Should it go up or should it go down? If it goes up, it's a little easier. If you go down, you get a bit more juice. But these are like giant limes. These are Persian limes. In Mexico, the limes growing up are more like key limes. They're little,
smaller,
but yeah, that's fine. So obviously, citric, lime. You're having a fresh lime drink. You're getting the vitamin C. It's so healthy, but you don't have to think about it, right? You're just having delicious. You're not like all like, oh, well, what if, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and put some lime slices right in there. Give this a stir. We're gonna pour it over the ice, and then you have some wine glasses there. So we're gonna have some agua de chia, and that other little pitcher. I'm gonna dilute it there. Just the water. I'm gonna dilute it a little bit. This one, yeah. Go ahead and just give us a little extra water in there. And we're ready. You're ready to have a glass of agua de chia and
all the water, or?
I think that's good. That's good. Yeah. I just wanted to dilute it a bit. There we go.
And it looks so pretty.
Isn't it pretty? So in Mexico, you have like big. You do even something where it's like you're working with this one. So you can have a big glass jar. See? Are you able to see that through the light? This way, this way, this way. How's that? Can you see it? See the suspended chia? Isn't it beautiful?
It is. It's so pretty to look at.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. So you can pour us some of those, and I'll make us a little space, and I'll make us a little chalupita with guacamole. Have something to drink. I know it's more. You know, these shows usually you're like, oh, it should be wine. Well, we'll have our tequila later, but right now we're talking about things that are easy, healthy. And you can just have agua de chia in your fridge all the time. And that's, you know, very, very easy. You don't have to think about it. Okay. Can you see how pretty they look filled with the guacamole? How's that? Yeah? See? It's fun, right? Fun and easy. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming to La Palapa. And are there any questions? Do we know? And let's have this. Stephanie, would you like one too?
Sure.
Join us.
I'm going to join you back here.
Okay, great. Let me make you one too. Get you a glass of agua de chia.
So yeah, we just had one question, which is to talk a little bit about the ingredients. And so like people aren't used to buying avocados. How do they know which avocados to buy? How about chia seeds? Like where can you find those, and how do you know which ones to buy? Like a little bit about ingredients.
Sure. Well, hand me an avocado, and you can hand me them both, and we'll just talk about what they feel like. Okay. So how to choose an avocado. So this kind of avocado is actually called a Hass avocado. They often go all the way be black when they're done. They want to be heavy, so feel that. Feel it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means that it has water, all the moisture and the oil. It means that it was harvested when it was almost ripe. The other way to know whether or not it was harvested ripe is up here. So at where the stem is, it should be quite rounded. You don't want it, if it looks wrinkled and shriveled by the stem, it means that it was harvested too young, and it might not ripen at all.
Oh.
The other thing that I like to say is I do think that the Mexican avocados are significantly better. They're grown, an avocado tree flowers 3 times a year. So at any moment on avocado trees, there are baby avocados, and big avocados, and mama avocados, and papa avocados. They're all different sizes. So in Mexico, because of the USDA, like the rules for importing, they have to harvest their avocados by hand from the tree. If an avocado falls on the ground, it can't be imported to the States. So because of all those rules, it means that the avocado quality that is brought here is really, really high. From Chile or even California, sometimes they'll harvest the whole tree, and then they'll just sort them based on their size. But the size isn't what tells you that it's ripe, because avocados come in many different varieties. Yeah. These are the ones that travel really well, so these are the ones that come. I mean, there's some that have like paper thin skins, and that are little tiny baby ones that are black, and some that are green. There's many, many different kinds, but these are really the most consistent. And then when you have an avocado, it's really when it's inside, it should be like you can really press it a tiny bit, tiny bit. If you want to hand me the knife, I'll cut it open. Thank you. So, I'm also, the good thing about when you're making guacamole, you don't have to worry about getting the seed or whatever, you can just squeeze it and just get the stuff out, right?
Yes.
You don't have to worry, do that. You've got your spoon and you're done, right? So there you go, right? Done. Don't have to worry about it. And then you could just take your pit out. They used to say that if you leave the pit in it, it stops it from oxidizing. Not really. That's old wives' tale. What stops it from oxidizing, you can either squeeze lime juice over it all. Sometimes that lime juice, I make like a salsa, like a pico de gallo. I'll put the guac on the bottom. If I need to go to a party, I'll put the tomatoes and all that just on top and then mix it in after. And so, that's a good thing. So the place where, so it'll be more ripe. Let me just show you. So it'll be softer down here at the bottom, and it'll be more firm up near the stem. Okay? That's why it's important to check the stem. Can you see it? Okay? Or did I go off to the side? So the stem part will be more firm. Now, if your avocado is a little underripe, don't lose heart. What you can do is you can chop it. You can cut it up instead. Like if this one was like not too ripe, I could just cut it into little cubes, and then you could mix it with everything and just do it like a little cube salsa. Now, if it's really rubbery, it won't taste good. But if it's not that thing where it's like, oh, I just cut this avocado a little bit too soon, you can still use it. As long as it's not really rubbery and chewy, you can still use it. You just might not be able to mash it into a fine paste. But something chunky is good and delicious too. It doesn't, you just work with what you have. It's nature. It's going to be different every time, right? In terms of the chia seeds, all chia seeds are the same. If you can find like I got these, there's a store here in Manhattan called Commodities, which is all organic. They have a lot of bulk seeds and things. If you can do that, that's great. If not, just go online. You can usually, you can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them on all sorts of online sources very easily. It doesn't have to be any particular kind of chia. I just think that whatever's easier. If you make it too complicated for yourself, it's just you probably won't do it. So the main thing is like have it be easy, and you can do that. So that's sort of the basic avocado and the chia. I think that any kind of chia will work. And more than anything, it's just so important to know that it does need to be soaked, that for your digestive health. Otherwise, it can be really binding and hard on you because it absorbs too much water.
So we actually had one more question about this drink. So you had mentioned that you don't need to put a lot of sugar in. So how much actually did you put in?
I put a teaspoon and a half, and that's 2 cups and 16 ounces. You tell me if it's enough. You're the only ones that know. I like it very light. I like it not so strong. Doesn't need that much lime. It just needs to be refreshing. So it's a fresh water. It doesn't have to be so cloying. Like a lot of like lemonade things will be like 3 tablespoons of sugar in your pitcher. It doesn't have to be that much. Really. It's really more than you need. I'll taste it and I'll see if I agree with myself.
I can taste the difference in the chia, soaking it versus not soaking it. This is divine.
It's still crunchy. You still get a little crunch, right? Come on in.
It's very good.
You still get a little crunch, but it's good, and it's such a fun texture, right? Because it's like a little bit soft, a little bit jelly, a little crunchy, but it's fun. So you can put chia in a lot of things, and I actually got chia because my 9-year-old daughter was really fascinated about it, and she loves Harry Potter, and she wanted to make potions. So I said, I've got something that you can really make a potion with. So there she's like my chia drinker, which is great nutrition for her. But anyway, so cheers, and let's have our little chalupita. You should have your beautiful one.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful, absolutely.
I'll take mine.
Well, before we take this bite, I think we don't have any more questions.
Okay.
And I wanted to just thank you so much for everything you did for Share and for this demonstration today.
Yay. And yay, Share. Everybody log on to the Share website and just know that Share is there for you, and that's the most incredible resource. Bilingual, caregivers in so many different ways. The work that Share does is just really, really remarkable. I'm really honored and proud, and we had a lot of fun. Okay, great. Cheers, salud.
Yes, and we will post a link to your website, and maybe you've got some recipes there.
And you can always send me a message or ask me on my Facebook or on the restaurant's Facebook if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer questions.
And we'll also post a link to the nutrition webinar we had recently in the comments.
Great webinar, it was great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.